When I was just a young lad, my parents told me all sorts of life stories for lessons and inspiration. The most memorable were the stories of risk-taking, and were told to me by my incredibly wise and noble father.
An ego-driven teenager, all of his friends, and a firearm. This is not exactly what you would call a common-sense-filled situation. Regardless, this is where our epic story begins. Air Force Basic Training. A tangible concoction of self-confidence, patriotism, and an overload of testosterone. In the midst of all the action lay a group of soldiers, practicing with their not yet battle-worn M16s. No one seemed to notice the withheld eagle eye in the center of the mess. My father. "Ceasefire!" screamed the drill sergeant, calming the chaos of the firing range. With his head held high, my father somehow ignored the order and challenged his friends to a bet. He would shoot the branch off of a tree from 100 yards away with only one bullet. An argumentative debate ensued. The stillness was shattered. The drill sergeant commanded order, followed by a small creaking in the distance. And while my father's ego skyrocketed, that single branch smashed to the ground. 2 years later, on the artillery field. In these field tests, every muscle in every man's body would be stretched and strained to its full potential, and a man's brain would have to be used to its utmost capacity to fulfill the mission. This time, my father wasn't taking any chances just to show off. This was the real thing. The final field test determined if his group passed the training or if all of their work was for nothing. He decided to take a chance. The mission was simple: to secure the hostages and return to base. Too simple, my father thought. He organized a plan with 2 fellow soldiers and determined that they should take a different route. 5 minutes later, all hell broke loose. Gunfire everywhere. My father realized that the main source of the gunfire was coming from right in front of them. It was then that he determined he was behind the enemy. In a masterful conclusion, he and his friends surprised the enemy and emerged victorious.
When it came down to it, my father was just a simple man. A simple man with a simple lesson to give. Don't be afraid to take chances, he told me, because if you don't take the chance, you aren't even giving yourself an opportunity to succeed.